Our first of 22 races gets the Euro Trophy underway in 2021. First up, Senior Rotax. Race 1, Heat 1. Groups D versus E. They're on their sighting lap, getting things ready and steeled for battle. Let's go to the start grid for the first time this weekend. We've got a slight problem with the start grid at the moment on the screens, but it is Luca Leistra on pole position, Kai Hunter alongside on the front row, Patrick Donica and James Lingard on row 2, Sean Butcher, vice-champion from last year, on the inside of row 3, Max Stemmerdink alongside, Sam Bergstein and Erhard Turker, that's row 4, Noah Hipp and Christian de Klein round out the top 10, Elia Galvanin and Lars Zanen round out row 6, Vincent Wouteye and Mika Barthelemy, that is row 7, Dylan Lahaye and Patrick Slokmelis, that's row 8. Victor Plateau, Vigor Hjorvard, Flint Schuring and Anthony Boulou round out the top 20. Marcel Lecuy, Arvid Rosen, Elias Carlin, Kylian Taunier, Luca Costa, Corentin Franchi, Mario Sidler and Astrid Amlöf. That is your 28 strong grid. 14 rows of competitors. 10 minutes on the clock, plus an additional lap. And for the first time this weekend, red lights ignited on the starting gantry. So it will be down to Leistra and Hunter to control the pace on the rolling start. And your guess is as good as mine. So there you have your starting grid. So top 10 will be Leistra, Kai Hunter, Donica, Lingard, Butcher, Stemmerdink, Bergstein, Turka, Noah Hipp and Christian de Klein, who makes the jumps to seniors after 2020. Now the mind games really begin. Hold on to your hats. I hope you've got... I hope your fingernails are not bitten to the quick quite yet, because we've got a long day ahead of us. So it will be down to Luca Leistra and Kai Hunter to control the pace. Drivers set, primed and ready. Through turn 12 they come. For the first time in 2021, we go into the tram lines. Are we ready? Are we steady? Lights out, we're off and racing, and it's a great start from pole position, courtesy of Luca Leistra, as they absolutely hurtle their way. Oh, we've got a turnaround already, make that 2, and there has been some contact going through into turn 2 for the first time, as it is rather... It's a case of tippy-toeing, as it was 4 abreast coming out of turn 3. We've got someone going rally crossing off of turn 4, make that 2 carts, as they make their way through into the Europolan for the very first time of asking. So Leistra is leading and starting to pull a slight gap initially going down the Europolan, as there's a good battle here for second position. It is side by side, and that looks to be Sean Butcher, I think, has got himself up into 3rd position. Looked like he got up the inside of James Lingard and is side by side a little bit further back. I think that's Max Stemmerdink making his way up into 5th position, as there is some tagging from behind. Oh, one of the GKS drivers there, possibly Lars Zanen, as more rally crossing going out on the run down to turns 9 and 10. You can just see how slick it is out on the circuit, as more drivers, as the 336 of James Lingard gets back past Sean Butcher, and that was in the run down to turn number 12. So Leistra leading the way and has got a considerable gap of 1.2 seconds ahead of Kai Hunter. James Lingard in 3rd. Sean Butcher, Max Stemmerdink, Patrick Donica in 6th. Lahaye and Zanen round out the top 8, with Barthelemy and Rosen rounding out the top 10. As these drivers really pushing like crazy. It is early days. We're just over a minute and a half in this first heat. So Sam Bergstein all the way down the back part of the order. And so now he has to try and fight back from what has happened. Again, nearly 3 abreast. Oh, now there was contact there, and off into the barriers. We've got 2 carts. Now that was the 340 of Francis Vincent Wouteye. I'm not too sure. I just tried to catch who that was. That possibly could have been Latvia's Patrick Slokmelis in the 384, or maybe Kylian Taunier. So again, it is still touch and go as to how these drivers respond to the conditions, but also respond to the situations that develop around them. As Kai Hunter trying to get the traction down coming out of turn 12, but Lingard's closing in on him, and Lingard sweeps to the inside going into turn 1. Not on that particular occasion, but he goes up the inside of the Brit going through to turn 2. Hunter gets the switch back. They nearly clash wheels there going into turn 3. So Kai Hunter back up into second position. Max Stemerdink and Dylan LaHaye now battling tooth and nail over 5th place. So Hunter now in a battle with Lingard. Sean Butcher trying to keep. Now that is Dylan LaHaye that's made his way up into 5th position. And up the inside goes LaHaye. Stemerdink goes tight on the apex through turn 7. And LaHaye gets past Butcher. And that's for 4th place. As Stemerdink trying to go up the inside of the 302. The Australian based out of London running under a UK licence. Now there's a tag from behind. Oh my goodness me. Lars Zanen into the back bumper there. And that would have been on possibly Patrick Donica there for 7th position. And again, it looks like Zanen runs wide as LaHaye now trying to close in. Stemerdink battling away with Butcher, but Lystra has scarpered away into the distance. And the rain is starting to come back onto the circuit. 6 minutes and 12 seconds plus an additional lap. Lystra's lead is 2.4 seconds and climbing. He's put fastest lap after fastest lap, but Dylan LaHaye, very, very accredited in his own right, 2019 BNL Karting Series Senior Road Tax champion. He is closing on the 2 in front, so there is a 3-way scrap emerging for what is second position. That's being led by James Lingard from Great Britain. Kai Hunter also rounding out the top 3. So there's 2 Brits in there, and 1 Belgium in the form of Dylan LaHaye looking to get up close and personal as Lars Zanen gets past Mika Barthélemy from France for 8th position going into the run to turn 7 off of the Europlan. And quite a few changes have happened. Sam Bergstein started to recover. Marcel Lecruy down in 26 behind Kylian Taunier, who was definitely on the comeback trail. But time is starting to run out as we hit the halfway point of this first of 22 races, as LaHaye in the slipstream of Kai Hunter goes to the right-hand side. The Belgian trying to force the issue. Oh, and Hunter nearly ends up touching the grass, but he gets a really good switchback. Oh, they tussle, but Hunter manages to get through. A little bit of contact between the right front of the bumper on LaHaye and then also the left side pod of Hunter, but Hunter keeps ahead of the Belgian for the minute. 4 minutes and 38 seconds still to go. LaHaye takes the wider line going through turn 6 and absolutely like a rocket ship up the inside, down the Europlan on Kai Hunter. So the Belgian now, who started a little bit further than he probably would be customary comfortable with, down in 15th. So in the wet weather conditions, GKS's very own Dylan LaHaye up into P3, a gain of 12 positions. So with 4 minutes and 10 seconds still to go, plus an additional lap on this race, Lystra leads. His gap has slightly been closed in by James Lingard, but not by much, probably by about 21 thousandths of a second. And with this rain coming in like it is, it might only get heavier, and it looks like the rain intensity on the predicted weather forecast is going to increase. So it's going to get even trickier out there for all and sundry. As Lars Zanen had Poland's Patrick Donica closing in on him, and the Polish driver tries to go up the inside. Zanen side by side going through into turn 3, and right up their back bumper they've got Mika Barthélemy. And you also add another driver to that list, Arvid Rosen from Dan Holland Racing representing Sweden. Has closed in and looks to get up the inside of Barthélemy, gets alongside and pulls along and past the French driver, who then goes on the switchback going down into turn 7 off of the Europlan. Nice exchange between the pairing. As now James Lingard has had Dylan LaHaye closing in on him. So we have had a time penalty issued. Victor Plateau has got a 5-second time penalty coming his way. Oh, up the inside. Dylan LaHaye trying to go side by side coming out of turn 11 on James Lingard and gets the power down neatly using his savoir-faire to get past, and up into second position goes the Belgian. So Plateau will get a 5-second time penalty. Plateau currently in 18th position. So Leicester's lead has extended to nearly 3 seconds. So whilst everyone has been battling away, Leicester is, I think he's got a pretty good grin underneath that racing helmet at the moment, I would very much judge. Flint Schuring and Sam Bergstein now round out the top 20. Christian Decline up to P13. Arvid Rosen now back up into P9 after the completion of 6 laps. Still very much the case of Leicester taking possibly first blood. So each senior Rotax driver will have 4 heats over the course of the duration of the day. And in the top 30, after intermediate classification has been confirmed and ratified, we will know who will be our top 30 for the 2 finals tomorrow. Approaching the final 90 seconds of this first 10-minute heat plus an additional lap, as drivers really trying to put the power down coming out of turn 10, and you can see it spool up. I think I just saw that was Elia Galvanin trying to get past and got past Luca Costa, who keeps it planted going into turns 11 and 12. So Leicester still leads. Lap times currently running in the 1:13s or so, but Dylan LaHaye has just put in the fastest lap of the race. And he's closed that gap down to Leicester to what is 2.1 seconds, and LaHaye put in the fastest lap of the race. It's 1 minute 12.471. Leicester a 1 minute 13.272, so 0.8 slower was the leader, but he's running in clean air whilst everyone is squabbling behind. Ehad Turka now trying to close in on Mika Barthelemy for 10th position, the sole Turkish entrant here this weekend. Now with Buvin Power, Buvin Power having moved from KR Sport after the 2020 season. So Luca Leicester, that gap has closed. That gap is going to be under 2 seconds, maybe close to 1.5 seconds. 1.1 seconds between LaHaye and Leicester. We go on to the penultimate lap, lap number 9 out of 10. And LaHaye is chomping at the bit. He's trying to close in, so he's got this lap plus another one to get past him. And now through into the Europolan again. LaHaye using that wider cut back. So what he's doing, he's sweeping the car over to the left, going into turn 6, and then really puts the power down, just literally straight lines it, hits the throttle, and that car just instantly bites to the tarmac, despite the amount of water that these Mojo W5s are having to disperse behind them. But the rain is not at that point where we might see rooster tails coming from all 4 tyres on the karts. So this time around, we'll get the final lap, the first one of the weekend. And LaHaye will be under 1 second behind Leicester. As again, some drivers going over the curbs. Patrick Donica going through turn 10. As now look at this. Right up towards turns 1 and 2. LaHaye has got striking distance well and truly on his radar. He's right up the back bumper of Leicester going through into turn 3. Now into 4. LaHaye absolutely springboards his way past. Brilliant work by Dylan LaHaye. Started P15, now up into P1 on the last lap of this race. And as I said earlier, it's going to be that point where you know that you've got that kart underneath you. And starting from 15th, and as they say, if you keep your head calm, others might lose theirs. And that is case in point with Dylan LaHaye, but Luca Leicester definitely does not want Dylan LaHaye to have the first checkered flag of the weekend. I guarantee you that much, because the way that he came up close and personal through turns 8 and into 9, but LaHaye's got a good run coming into turn 10 for the final time. 2 more corners to negotiate. LaHaye has got a really good kart underneath him, His mechanic at GKS definitely helping to get this kart really, really well planted. As LaHaye comes out of the final corner, powers across the line, takes the first checkered flag of the weekend. LaHaye strikes first and strikes hard. And that was a consummate performance from him. He brought down what was a 2.9 second gap to a lead, a victory lead of 8.17 tenths of a second. James Lingard leads a trio of British drivers across the finish line. Lingard third, Kai Hunter in fourth, having started alongside Luca Leistra on the front row. Sean Butcher in fifth position, Max Stemmerdink in sixth, Lars Zanen, Patrick Donica, Mika Barthelemy and Arvid Rosen rounding out the top 10 in that race. And after that, Ehad Turker 11th, Noah Hipp in 12th, Christian de Klein in 13th, Vigor Hjorvard in 14th, ahead of Luca Köster, who I spoke to yesterday. He said, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a tricky challenge this weekend, but he's rising to it at the moment. 15th for the German from Kraft Motorsport. Elia Galvanin from KSB, 16th ahead of Anthony Boulou. Then Flint Schuring, Sam Bergstein, Victor Plateau rounds out the top 20, but will be hit with a 5-second time penalty post-race, which could drop him to around 24th or 25th position. Clément Tarnier, 21st. Corentin Franchi from France, Vincent Boutier rounding out the top 23. Elias Kalin from Sweden and Mario Sidler round out the top 25, ahead of Patrix Lokmelis with Astrid Amlöf in 27th. And Marcel Lecuy rounding out to the 28 strong. All drivers finishing all 10 laps.